Welcome to What Healthy Couples Know That You Don't, a podcast dedicated to helping you create the relationship you truly want. And now, here's your host, licensed psychotherapist, Rhoda Mills Summer.
15 Ways to Encourage Relationship Survival, Episode 31. Thanks for listening. No one knows better than I how hard it can be to make relationships last. I spend an enormous amount of time helping couples figure it out. So after all the years I've invested in couples work, I've got a few ideas I want to share. Today marks my second anniversary of podcasting. I've created 31 episodes in 2 years. I still remember how technologically overwhelmed I was starting out. Beginnings are really the hardest part of everything. I appreciate those of you who have been listening. Thanks so much. This is my anniversary gift to my audience. Here is the first. Find the courage to talk about hard things instead of avoiding them. Why? Because the unspoken piles up and ultimately leads you to disconnection. Think of speaking your truth as a gift to someone you love. Both of you need to practice being authentic with each other. Plain speaking is not mean. It helps you to be understood. Number 2, when you talk about things that are important, be prepared to have 25 to 75 to 125 conversations. Why? Because when you both feel differently about something important, it takes many, many conversations to soften the differences. Negotiations can't be seriously considered until there is a lot of softening. Softening leads to dialogue instead of parallel monologues. Think how rare that is, parallel monologues. Values collisions take a lot of time, a lot of softening, a lot of conversations. Number 3, talk about problems when they are still small. Why? Silence usually leads to resentments. Be choiceful about what matters. Everything is not important. However, if you silently swallow too much, there will be long-term consequences to the relationship. Short-term, you can pretend something doesn't matter. But if it does matter, deal with being uncomfortable and speak up. You cannot grow unless you are willing to be uncomfortable. The point of loving someone else is to work at being a better person over the years. Number 4, think about your relationship as 3 parts: you, the other person, and the us. Why? The third entity, the us, is too easily neglected and forgotten. Take care of the us. Do you see each other clearly, or are you seeing who you want the other person to be? If you are thinking about the us, it changes your frame of reference about the world. It reduces your expectations. Do you have each other's back? You do if there is an us. Number 5, stay curious and interested in each other. Over time, continue to get to know who your partner is. Don't assume you always knew their answers. If you have kids, hire a babysitter and go out twice a month. Why? Because otherwise, you're going to forget about the two of you as a couple. It's crucial to keep that us energy burning. Pay attention to feeling attracted to each other, curious and interested. Keep telling each other stories of who you are and what you are experiencing, because it is so easy to devolve into being roommates who run the business of being a family together. Who pays the bills, who runs the kids to soccer, does not sustain the two of you as a couple. Take time to remember who you are as a couple. Number 6, don't allow sex to disappear. Why? It is free, fun, and a lovely way to connect. Who doesn't love an orgasm? Sex disappearing is not a natural part of aging. Having children is not an excuse for sex to disappear, even though you may be exhausted. Saying you are too tired becomes an easy excuse. Sex needs to be anticipated in a positive way, not as a chore. Number 7, discuss money. Why? If you don't figure out how to share it, you will have problems. You will feel more like a team if you both discuss your financial priorities and how to make money work better for the two of you. Don't have credit card debt. Do you know the interest rate on each of your credit cards, especially the ones you have debt on? If not, then do the research so it's clear in your mind. Live within your means. If you can't afford a vacation, don't. In Pittsburgh, we call it a Pittsburgh porch vacation when you stay home. Seek advice from the book Money Harmony by Olivia Smith. She offers help to couples. Number 8, in years 6 to 10, when the illusions disappear, think of it as an opportunity to grow instead of the end of a relationship. Everyone reaches a place where they are scratching their head, wondering what they are doing, being with the other person. Consider this a stage of development where you both have a chance to grow and learn. Why? Because many relationships fall apart in these years. Just look at Hollywood. Because the romantic pretending disappears. Now is a chance to learn how to build a more authentic infrastructure to really create a solid future. Relationships are not easy or magical except in the beginnings. So if you love someone, decide to do a lot of hard work. Number 9, recognize that when you have communication problems, it means you don't feel seen accurately. It's a lot of work to accurately understand someone else. Consider whether there is a power struggle underneath, simply because you are both determined to be right. Success in communication means creating trust by building on sharing truths. Learning how to be real and speak your truth can be a tricky business for both people because it is more complicated, not simple. We adore the simplicity of one person winning as a short-term avoidance maneuver, away from the more tangled, complicated of how do we meet both our needs instead of just one person. Number 10, when you fight, don't blame and make accusations. Why? Blame sets up defensiveness and circular arguments that have nothing to do with problem solving and everything to do with winning. Blame is a very immature activity that is about manipulation. Make I statements instead of belting out an exaggerated bunch of you statements. Blame is easy, and taking responsibility for your part in the problems is about being a grown-up instead. If you want to be elegant in an argument, it's simple. Be able to state to your partner what is important to them before you rattle on about your own point of view over and over and over again. Number 11, don't lose track of who you are as a separate person. Why? Because the more you take responsibility for yourself and defining your own wants and needs as an individual, the more likely you are to be happy as a couple. It is your job to take care of yourself and to make yourself understood to others. Partnership is nourished by each person bringing their energy as an individual back to the relationship, and it certainly makes things more interesting. When I'm in a restaurant and I see people avoiding conversations by being on their phones, it makes me sad. If your own life is interesting, then you have things to share. Number 12, go to bed angry and wake up civilized. Why? When you are emotional and fueled by anger, you are very unlikely to listen or negotiate. So wake up, be sane, and problem solve. In the morning, you are more likely to think instead of being swamped by self-indulgent feelings. You are more likely to think instead of being swamped by self-indulgent feelings. Late at night, it is very hard to seriously consider the truth of someone else's point of view. Many times, as part of a couple, you have to hold two opposite truths together at the very same time. Number 13, be prepared to sacrifice for each other. Why? Because otherwise, love lacks substance. Put your money where your mouth is. It's easy to say the words. How about sacrifice for your partner, not just for your kids? Sacrifice is something grown-ups do for each other. Sacrifice means doing something for the other person that you didn't want to do. Can you remember when you last made a sacrifice for your partner? Number 14, don't lose respect for your partner. Why? Because respect is more important than love in relationship survival. The ultimate test of respect is that you will allow the other person to influence you. When you respect someone, you are able to risk more vulnerability, which is crucial to building trust. Number 15, don't play games. Why? Because games, again, skip over substance. Games are about power struggles. Insecurities often fuel the games. So it is crucial to figure out how to stop trying to stuff your partner into the empty hole inside of you. Manipulation and winning are not what relationships are all about. The game, victim, rescuer, and persecutor, also called the Karpman drama triangle, is fully described in my previous podcast episodes, number 11 and number 12. My challenge to you today is to print these out from my website on the podcast page at therapyideas.net and consider a conversation with your partner about how many of these the two of you have put into play. In May, I will publish my first interview because someone requested that I do interviews in a review on iTunes. The topic will be Relationships Demand Personal Responsibility. Marcia Turbiner has a neat way of describing things and will offer you tools to use in that episode. If you're at a place where you can do so, will you please pause this episode and do me a gigantic favor? Someone you know right now could use this podcast in their life. Will you please take 30 seconds, go to Facebook, and tell them what you are listening to, what healthy couples know that you don't. Right now, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to What Healthy Couples Know That You Don't. If you have enjoyed the show, please leave a rating and review on iTunes and help get the word out. To learn more or connect with Rhoda, visit therapyideas.net.